This is the Photography is My Passion podcast, episode 8. In this episode, we're going to talk about back button focusing. Okay, what is the big hubbub about back button focusing? Well, let me tell you, one of the first things I teach my new photography students is how to back button focus. And to a person, I bet they'll tell you that that is one of the most important things they learned how to do. I really don't know of a professional photographer worth anything that doesn't back button focus. So if you don't back button focus, I encourage you to learn how to do it. And first of all, what is back button focusing? Well, as you know, when you get, a camera, you just bought it brand new and you take it out of the box. To focus, you would press the shutter button halfway in, and then to take the picture, you would press that button all the way in. Well, with back button focusing, you're relieving the shutter of its responsibility of focusing. So all it's going to do is take the picture. What you're doing is you're assigning one of the buttons on the back. It's usually labeled AF-L, that stands for autofocus lock, although you're not necessarily locking focus. We'll talk about that in a minute. You're assigning that button to do the focusing. So you'll focus first with the back button, then press in the shutter to take the picture. Now, the advantage of doing that way is really varies for the type of photography you're doing. For example, if you're a landscape photographer, quite often you're not focusing on something directly in the middle of the frame. You're focusing on something in the foreground maybe, or something in the midground to the side. And what you would do if you don't use back button focusing is you would compose the image so that the focus point you're using is over that object. You would press the shutter button in halfway to achieve focus. Then you'd recompose the scene the way you want it to be framed. Then you would turn focus off, autofocus off on the camera, either on the lens. Nikon has a little switch on the lens, and they also have a little switch on the body. You could do it on the body also, and I'm sure Canon and other manufacturers are the same way. So you're going to turn that focus off. So when you press the shutter button in, your camera's not going to try to focus. And then you would just press the shutter to take the picture. Well, then, if you're going to reframe a different scene, you have to remember to turn that switch back on so you could focus again. Then use the shutter button to focus on what you want to focus on, recompose the scene, turn that switch off, take the picture. With back button focus, it's a lot easier. You just point your focus point on what you want to focus on, press the back button to achieve focus, recompose the scene, press the shutter button to take the picture. It's a lot faster, it's a lot easier, and you won't forget to put that lens or camera back in focus mode. There have been many times that I've seen photographers forget to do that, and then they try to take a bird flew by and they want to get this beautiful shot of this eagle, and they forgot to turn focus back on, and they get a blurry eagle. So back button focusing obviously helps with that. For even something like this, somebody standing at a podium and maybe at a rally and they have a lot of speakers and you're in one spot, you're not moving, they're not moving. You could focus on their eye while they're standing at the podium and then just take picture after picture after picture, and you won't miss anything. So if they gesticulate or they doing something interesting, you won't miss the shot because you're trying to focus. You focused at the beginning and you don't have to worry about focusing again. Where it really comes to shine though is with wildlife, sport, and action photographers. And what they do is they use back button focusing in conjunction with a specific focus mode. In Nikon, it's called AF-C. That's a continuous focus mode. In Canon, I think it's AI servo. So that means when the old way, if you were using the shutter, if you press that shutter in halfway, your camera's always going to be trying to focus. Focus will never lock. So if you have somebody walking across the street and you follow them with your camera will always keep them in focus because you're using this continuous focus servo mode. Well, when you use back button focus, it becomes even more valuable. Let's say you have that eagle flying through the air and it's not staying the exact same distance from you. It's flying out and in and looping around. You would use single point focus. So you're going to use one focus point, usually something in the middle, because those focus more accurately. And you would use back button focus. You would press in the back button. You're in continuous servo mode, so it's always focusing. You would keep that focus point on the eagle and move it wherever the eagle is moving. And your camera will always keep that eagle in focus, and you could just fire off shot after shot after shot. And you really won't miss a shot that way. And you could see how action photographers, the same thing. You know, football players running down the field to catch a pass. You could follow the player, keep your finger pushed on the focus button on the back, and just take picture after picture after picture. You could just, you know, use, you know, like a high-speed shutter. You know, like those guys on the sidelines, they use like Canon cameras usually that are like 15 frames a second. So they're just keeping their thumb on the back button, keeping that focus point on the player, and they're just pressing in that shutter and just going, you're shooting off shots like a machine gun. And it keeps them in perfect focus usually. And it really is an advantage to do back button focusing. Now, how do you do it? How do you set up your camera for it? Well, I could tell you one thing you're not going to do. Don't email me and ask me, because probably I don't know. I mean, every camera is a little different. And really, all you got to do, though, it's really easy, is just Google it. Google the model of your camera. You know, you have a Nikon D7000. Just write back button focus, Canon D7000. And I guarantee you'll find either an article or a video that shows you step by step how to set up the camera for back button focusing. And then get out and practice doing it. I mean, it might sound like it's going to be awkward and hard to get used to, but I guarantee in a couple hours you'll be like an old pro. Every student I taught how to do it remarked to me how easy it is and how they never could go back to focusing with the shutter button. So learn how to back button focus. I guarantee it'll improve your photography. I guarantee it. It's in writing, all right? Now, that's really it for this episode. Really, really short episode. I apologize, actually the last couple episodes were a little short. Kind of the subject matter dictates how long the episodes will be. And also, it's a little late this week, and I apologize for that. Earlier in the week, we got a lot of snow here in Buffalo, and I was snow blowing my neighbor's sidewalk. She's an 88-year-old woman that lives alone. And I was going across her sidewalk, and I got to her driveway, and I was spinning around to go back the other way, and I wasn't really paying attention. Her driveway was solid ice. And my legs went right out from under me, and I fell flat on my back. And curiously, I didn't let go of the handles of the snowblower, so I pulled the snowblower back on me. It's kind of like water skiing, and you're going to fall, but you don't let go of the rope. Well, that's what I did. And I really, really hurt my back, but I'm starting to feel better now. And, you know, so I'm a little late in everything this week, so I apologize for that. And next episode, I think we're going to talk about getting you started on selling your images, either selling JPEGs online or selling prints. And I'm going to give you some ideas of how you could get started doing that. There's a lot of different ways you could do it, a lot of different ways you could go about it. You can make a little extra money. I don't think you'll be able to make a living at it, but you could supplement your income, maybe pay off a car loan or a mortgage or something like that. So that will be in our next episode, and that will be a little later in the week, next week too. I'm going to be out of town for a few days, going to Harrisburg, PA. So if you're in Harrisburg, email me and let me know where I could eat. All right. Again, that's it. I'd like to thank everyone that watches my videos. I really do appreciate it. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon.